They say nothing can beat a mother's love, and that is true. Regardless of species, we've heard countless stories about mothers sacrificing themselves for their children. We've seen it in movies and read about it in books. A mother's love is one of the purest forms of love. Of course, not everyone has a great experience with their mother, but for those who have, they can attest how loving and willing their mothers are to go through great lengths. Our story revolves around Melissa Davis, a mother from Louisiana. She went to great lengths to keep her young 12-year-old son away from harm. This included bugging her son's backpack after he started showing behavior that was unlike him. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. In the eyes of others, bugging your child's backpack is a complete invasion of privacy. But at that moment, Melissa could not think of any other solution. What she discovered had left her stunned and causes the community to go into an uproar. Melissa Davis had always been doing whatever she could to keep an eye out for her son Camden, who was her own flesh and blood. She loved him so much and believed no one else in the world was more important to her than him. However, whether she liked it or not, she couldn't always look out for him every second of the day. There were instances when she had to let him do his own thing and hoped everything would turn out okay. Unfortunately, it was during these times Melissa let him go that life was not always kind to Camden. As a child with autism, he sometimes struggled. He didn't see the world the way others did, like his mom, which sometimes made him feel alone and alienated. While Melissa does everything she can to make sure Camden's needs are taken care of, it's still a lot for a one-man job. When it came to deciding where to send Camden to school, she had trouble finding the perfect place that would adjust to his needs, while still offering quality education. Luckily, it seemed Melissa had found the perfect school when she learned about Hope Academy. This private school was recognized for assisting children with special needs like Camden's, meaning they were well-equipped to cater to kids with autism. For Melissa, she had discovered a gem when she found this school, especially since its messages promised inclusion and encouragement. However, there was much more to this school than she had expected. Melissa knew there were risks involved in sending Camden to school. This wasn't her first battle. There were problems in the previous school her son was in, with bullying being the biggest concern. Other kids struggled to welcome Camden, and he felt singled out. Melissa hoped this new school would change all of that for him. It had a good reputation and was a school meant to cater to kids with special needs. There was no reason for her to worry about him being bullied anymore, right? Well, maybe not. During the first few weeks, everything seemed to be going really well for him, but then Camden's behavior started to change. At first, these were just a few minor changes, but it eventually became evident that something was bothering him. His behavior was unlike him, so Melissa began to worry. Camden was always a mild-mannered and good kid, especially towards his mom. He may struggle with autism, but his mother was always there to offer support. Yet, despite their strong bond, he began to lash out after he started going to Hope Academy. He was becoming short-tempered, and poor Melissa had no idea what was going on. Aside from all the lashing out, Camden was also wetting the bed, something he hasn't done since he was a toddler. The changes in his behavior were growing more and more apparent, and it raised a lot of red flags. Melissa was certain the new school had something to do with it. After all, everything was fine before he started attending, and now his behavior took a complete 180. Something was going on, and Melissa wanted to know what. To try and figure out what was going on with her son, Melissa met with the school's principal. Maybe they knew something that she didn't that would help her understand why her son was lashing out and acting like that. However, the principal could not give Melissa an answer. If anything, the school was rather dismissive of the idea that something unusual was going on in their school. They assured her there was nothing to worry about and Camden was fine. Melissa wasn't satisfied with the school's assurances. She knew deep down there was something going on with her son and the school had something to do with it. So she decided to conduct her own investigation. If the principal was keeping a secret from her, whether he knew it or not, she was going to find out the truth. However, she faced a small bump in the road. How could she know what was going on inside Hope Academy without being discovered? Melissa wasn't too happy with the thought of spying on her son, but she knew this was the only way she could figure out what was going on. So when she stumbled upon her old tape recorder, she came up with the perfect plan. With the tape recorder, she could use it to record Camden's day at school and see if something would happen out of the ordinary. Of course, there was no assurance she would actually find something, but this was her only chance. Carrying out her plan was the easy part. All she had to do was slip the device into her son's backpack while he wasn't looking, turn it on, and just let it run the entire day, recording everything that goes on in Camden's life at school. What was difficult was facing the ethical side of this plan. She was aware that she was invading her son's privacy, and she felt uncomfortable. However, if this was the only way to find out why Camden's been acting that way, she just had no other choice but to go with it. Melissa was only protecting her son. As the day goes by, Melissa had a hard time focusing. All she had in her mind was whether the recorder managed to pick up anything, or if her son had discovered that she'd invaded his privacy by sticking a recorder in his backpack. When Camden finally arrived from school, she knew she only had a few hours left before he went to bed, and she could finally listen to the recording. She felt both excited and nervous, but it turns out she couldn't have prepared herself for what she was about to hear. As she listened to the recording, it seemed like it didn't really give away much. Mostly, it just recording shuffling and indecipherable noises. But before Melissa could stop listening to it and call it a failed plan, she heard something that left her speechless. In the recording, she could hear the sound of a teacher screaming at Camden and making fun of him. She was mocking him in a very insulting manner and belittling him because he couldn't do his task. Melissa struggled to get through the whole thing, but it wasn't even the worst part. As Melissa continued to listen to the tape, everything began to make sense. It wasn't the students that were bullying him and causing him to act like that. It was the teachers. Melissa couldn't believe her ears at all. She could hear the teachers threatening to send him to public school and joking that he wouldn't even last a minute there. The people who were supposed to be responsible for looking out for her son are the same people who are making him feel horrible. After hearing everything the teachers were saying to Camden, Melissa knew she did the right thing by bugging his backpack. Not only did she figure out why Camden was lashing out, but she also had solid evidence of what the school was doing. With the proof she had, she hoped she'd be able to get justice for what the school did to him. Sadly, even if she got her justice, she knew it wouldn't reverse the damage that the teachers had done with their lack of compassion and understanding. If Melissa wanted justice for Camden, she knew she had to do it the right way. Hence, she contacted Charlotte McGee, a lawyer who was more than willing to fight for her and Camden. In McGee's eyes, what the school did to Camden was horrifying. Because he was a kid with special needs, he needed more attention and affection than the others. However, he received the complete opposite from his teachers, and this left McGee completely unsettled. With the help of McGee, Melissa released the recording of her son being bullied by the teachers to the press. It immediately caused a stir, and many parents were shocked to learn that a prestigious school like Hope Academy could do such a thing to a child with special needs. Parents whose kids went to Hope Academy were appalled and scared that this wasn't an isolated case, which forced the school to take action. They fired the teachers who bullied Camden and held a meeting to try and put out the fire. Things needed to change. Determined to make things right and probably save face, the staff at Hope Academy took action to ensure that the school is a safe space for all kinds of students. They revised the hiring process, making it more careful to ensure the right kinds of teachers were hired. Aside from that, they also began introducing a sensitivity training program so that the staff are well prepared to handle any situation. They also added security cameras in the classrooms. This would hopefully make up for how Camden was treated under their care.